Ms Legalista here, aka Attorney Sheila. I want to talk to you about cell phone bans and some technology that's been around for a while, but we sort of put it off to the side because, there was that whole pandemic thing and people were kind of at home. But now there's renewed interest in Yondr. It is a pouch that you can put your cell phone in. It's then locked so that you can't access it, and it's not unlocked until you leave the space that you're in. It could be a school, it could be your workplace, it could be an event. I want to pop over to the website. Yeah. So that we can actually take a look at this and learn a little bit more about it. I had not heard about it, but you know, it's even being used in some courthouses now. Now, you would think that courthouses would be, I guess, one of those places where they'd already have something like this kind of technology in place so that people aren't, pulling out cell phones and you're not having disruptions during court. But let me tell you, there is a one courthouse in particular, and let me click back on this and go back while we're waiting. There is one courthouse in particular that I have been in, and they have lockers. You used lockers to put certain items in the lockers. And it was, let me just say, I felt like I had gone back in time. But this is the Yondr website. And let's take a look at this because, like I said, now that the pandemic is over, kids are back in school, businesses are back in business, literally, and they want to protect their intellectual property. They want to have employees who are focused on doing their work and not distracted by looking at social media or making TikTok videos, making just TikToks. Let's look at this and see. Okay, so be here, be now. That's one of the things they're sort of promoting, saying that it decreases the amount of disruption and increases in engagement. Here are some of the phone free spaces that you can see they have listed here. Home. Okay, so I'm not sure why you would really need this at home. I'm going to come back to that one. Schools. There's been some back and forth about schools. I'll get there in just a second. Music, comedy, events and weddings, courts. Courts, yes. Workplace, productions, hospitality, and other. I want to start with home though, because I'm a little interested in what we're saying about why we need to lock up our cell phones at home. Unless you're talking about family events, family dinners, family meal times, things of those nature, uh, then I guess I can sort of understand that. But surely, if your kids have phones, you probably purchased them. And so I'm thinking that, you're the disciplinarian, you're setting the rules, you're the adult. So I'm not sure why you would need this at home, but maybe I'm missing something. So let me scroll down here. A signal blocking lockable box designed to help parents and children be more present for workplaces to be more productive. Okay, so same sort of thing. How to be phone free. It doesn't really talk about home, even though this is the one for home. It, I guess the benefits of Yondr Home Tray. Be present. Families can create structure around technology use and limit children's access to devices. Okay, so I guess the hiccup here with me is that my daughter is older. She is now a full grown person, an adult technically. So, yeah, I can see how for some parents this might be an easy way to keep the kids engaged in family activities, at least until they become older, and they're not going to, you can take the phone and they're still not going to want to do some of the things that you think they ought to be doing. But oh well, there you have it. Make the rules early, set expectations early with your kids. I think that's the way to think about this. Now, I want to go back to um, schools because this has sort of been a big deal with schools now. And some parents are feeling a little frustrated because for a long time, these bans were not in place. And we had sort of this immediate connection to our children. And I think the number one issue is safety. I think parents are really concerned about security and safety. They drop their kids off in the morning. They want to know that when they come back in the afternoon, they can pick them up from school and that their kids will be safe throughout the day. They want to know that if something happens, they can contact their children fairly quickly. And so there's been some pushback from parents on access. It really is around access. The schools are saying, though, we need this in order to have a full learning environment where kids are paying attention, kids are not engaging in cyberbullying, they aren't capturing things on video that should remain private and shouldn't be shared with the world. So there are definitely some positives and negatives on both sides of this issue. And I think this is going to continue to play out. A lot of schools have already said, we're bringing this in. And this is why we're trying to minimize distractions and maximize learning potential. I think this is something that is a lot easier at younger ages. I think by the time you get to high school, kids have already sort of developed who they are and what their learning styles are. And if they're extroverts, you're already going to see more engagement from them anyway. If they're introverts and they're more, you know, let's just say they're saving that energy for later, I don't necessarily know that it's going to increase engagement on their part, but it might increase learning opportunity. And let me just say this, sometimes teachers are boring. Sometimes the events that you're attending are boring. And sometimes you're looking at your phone because you wish you could be someplace else. But hopefully, this is something that's being talked about. It says 1 million students use Yondr every day. Like I said, this is on the increase, it's on the rise. You can see the different countries there. Enhanced student engagement, improved classroom management, because you don't have all these kids, you don't have phones going off, things dinging. Better staff retention. Teachers feel like they're actually teaching. Improved safety and security. Students cannot use their devices for unauthorized activities or inappropriate content. I think that was something that there was this concern about what was being shared when things happen in the school. But again, you have parents saying, I want my kids to be safe and I want to be able to get in touch with them. And so this is what this little pouch looks like. I mean, it's cute, it works. All right, let me go back to music events, comedy, entertainers, a lot of these have started to pick up on this too and to say, hey, we don't want you recording everything. We want you to be engaged with our concert. I have some thoughts about that, but I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to go to the courts and then I'm going to talk about workplace. Some people may ask, hey, is it legal for my workplace to require me to put my phone in one of these bags? Like, is any of this legal? Look, you're walking into somebody else's place. If you don't want to follow their rules, then don't go in there, a lot of times in theory, yes, it is legal for them to require this. In terms of how they apply the rules, so for instance, if they were to decide, hey, we're only going to provide this rule to certain people and it was provided in an illegal discriminatory manner, then that would be an issue. But in most cases, probably not going to be an issue. Let's look at courts here. Make your courtroom phone free. Like I said before, there's a courthouse in North Carolina that has lockers that you would put some of this stuff in. As attorneys, some places, some federal courts require you to go through an application process where you are then allowed to take electronic devices such as cell phones into a federal courtroom. And then you have most most courthouses across my state, attorneys, court staff, all of those people are allowed to bring cell phones into the courtroom because, well, let me just be practical here for a second. You may have a client who does not show up and the judge is like, well, is your client coming? And you're like, okay, so I did get a message from the client about 10 minutes ago. They have a flat tire. Do you see what I'm saying? So there are these sorts of instances where things happen in a courtroom, and sometimes, yes, you need your cell phone there to be able to pull it up and look at it. So let's look at what's going on in the courts here, what they're saying, empowering justice and preserving privacy. Look, let me tell you, generally you are not supposed to be recording what goes on in a courtroom unless you have gotten permission to do so. And there have been times when people have been in courtrooms and they have recorded and have gotten into trouble. And so, yes, this can be an issue. Let's see, enhanced security prevents unauthorized recording and dissemination of sensitive courtroom proceedings. Suppose it is a proceeding involving a juvenile, a child, or someone who is providing information that needs to remain confidential, and you've got someone else in there who is recording and people don't know that. This is a concern. Maintaining privacy preserves the privacy of jurors, witnesses, and victims, reducing the risk of intimidation or harassment. These are real issues. These are real issues here. Minimize distractions. I cannot tell you how many times somebody's cell phone has gone off in court. Most of the time, you know, you get a really interesting look from the bailiff and some of the deputies who are in the courtroom, and the judge. If it's taken care of fairly quickly, if it's taken care of fairly quickly, then the judge won't look concerned. But if it continues to go off, then it's a problem. Protecting confidentiality, respectful courtroom environment. So yes, so I have yet to see a courtroom here that uses this yet. Like I said, in most cases, you go through the entrance and you've got to go through it anyway. And if it's a courtroom that doesn't allow it, they'll tell you right then, and you'll have to go back out and put it in your car or give it to somebody else who's not coming into the courthouse. But yeah, this says, let's see, the immediate benefit has been that the courts are not liable for any confiscated phones, and the jurors are still able to keep possession of their phones. We could not be more pleased with the product. Yondr worked wonderfully during our high risk profile trial, and our officers thought it was a great system. The sheriff's office will continue to use the Yondr system. It's always been an issue for us to take cell phones from the public because there's nowhere to store them, and we're responsible for that if they get damaged or misplaced. That's exactly right. So if you're taking something, then now you have it in your possession and control. And the understanding is you're going to bring it back in the condition in which I gave it to you. Let's talk about workplace, because workplace is an issue too. And, companies have gone back and forth with what their policies look like in terms of cell phone use. And now, to some extent, you have some companies that are out there that are saying, hey, we like for our employees to record the work that they're doing here, their environment, as long as it's good stuff, right? So some companies have leaned into that. And then other ones have said, hey, we're concerned about a lot of issues, privacy and confidentiality of company information, of maybe customer or client information. And then the other thing that's a real big issue, and that is a safety. The last thing you want is for someone to have an accident, cause an accident, get hurt, get someone else hurt, burn the building down because they're engaging on their phone and not paying attention to the work that's being done. So people are asking, hey, am I required, if my company says to me, you have to use Yondr, you have to lock your phone up, then what happens if I need to get in touch with my child or with a parent, or if there's a medical issue, if there's an emergency? What if somebody comes in and we have an active engagement going on, and now I can't get to the spot to unlock my phone because it's near the main entrance, and somebody just came in the main entrance trying to do harm. So now I can't go that way to unlock the phone to call. What am I supposed to do? So let's look at this workplace thing and then I'll wrap up. So it says, make your workplace phone free, elevating work force potential. Smartphone distractions are one of the leading causes of accidents and injuries. What was I just saying? What was I just saying? People are on their phone and not paying attention. Create a more focused and secure work environment that encourages productivity, protects sensitive information, and prioritizes the well-being of your employees. Hey, I just said all of those things. Safety and compliance, confidentiality and IP protection, enhanced security, increased focus and productivity, and streamlined operations. Look, you see this picture here? You never want someone who, is in a work environment. And look at this one down here, where you have people really doing work. Less less concern here where people have a desk job, but where people are operating machinery, that can be a really big concern. So let me go to this last issue that I really want to talk about in connection with this. Because, like I said, this is basically going to be something that companies can do, that schools can do, that workplaces, courthouses, event venues can do. Again, it's going to depend upon how it's carried out. One day, though, I can imagine that there is going to be a scenario where someone cannot get to their cell phone, and they are going to file a lawsuit that says, if and only if I had been able to use my cell phone, then this would not have happened. So that's the concern here, that, you could be putting people in a situation where they need their cell phone. And had it not been for this device, they would have been able to use it and would have been able to maybe get the help that they need, get someplace that they need, get out of a space that they were in. But we'll see how that goes. Let me know in the comments, have you ever used one of these? Your thoughts about it. Would you say to people, we're going to have a family reunion and it's going to be cell phone free? Or we're going on a family vacation and it's going to be cell phone free? Does your kids' school have something like this? Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Do you see us going in this direction? Do you see this continuing to grow? Or do you think hey, it's going to be a thing for now and in 10 years it's not? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and peace.